Most days don't fall apart dramatically. They disappear quietly. You sit down to work. The desk is already there. The laptop is open. The phone glows on the table. You don't give up. You don't walk away. You just drift. Nothing feels wrong enough to stop, but nothing feels right enough to continue. And that's what makes this hard to notice. This isn't about a bad day. It's about an ordinary one. The kind of day where you try, where you sit down more than once, where you genuinely mean to focus, and still end it wondering where the time went. There's a quiet pressure in moments like this. Not panic, not crisis, just waiting for focus to arrive, waiting for your mind to settle, waiting for something to click. By the end of the day, there's a mild guilt. Nothing dramatic, just a low-grade exhaustion that lingers. What makes this season heavy isn't failure. It's effort without movement. You show up, you sit down, but focus keeps slipping away. Your effort is visible. Your progress is not. And that gap between effort and progress is where self-doubt quietly grows. For a long time, I thought something was wrong with me. I assumed focus was a personality trait, something you either had or didn't. Some people were focused, others weren't. I told myself I was the second kind. It took me a while to notice something else. My days weren't broken. They were just being slowly pulled apart. Not by one big mistake, but by small moments that didn't feel important at the time. Here's what most people miss. Focus usually isn't lost all at once. It's traded away in pieces. The first trade often happens early, before the day has even started. Morning. The phone comes on before your feet touch the floor. Notifications, short videos, messages that don't ask much from you. Nothing dramatic happens here, just a small trade. Attention for stimulation. The room is still quiet. Your body hasn't fully woken up yet, and already your mind is somewhere else. The day starts slightly scattered, and somehow it never quite recovers. This is the part no one warns you about. It doesn't feel like distraction. It feels harmless. But once that first moment slips, the rest of the day carries the same looseness, and you don't notice it happening. You just feel it later, when focus feels harder than it should. Later in the day, you sit down again. This time, you're more prepared. Books open, notes nearby. Music is playing softly in the background. A few tabs are already open. Your phone stays within reach. It looks like productivity. From the outside, it probably is. But inside, something feels off. Your attention keeps jumping, from sentence to sentence, from tab to tab. By the end of it, you feel tired. Not satisfied, just drained. And when you try to remember what you worked on, it's blurry. This is studying while split. Here's what surprised me when I first noticed this. The exhaustion doesn't come from the work. It comes from switching. Your mind keeps changing lanes, and every switch costs more than you realize. This is the part no one warns you about. You can spend an hour studying and still feel behind. Not because you didn't try, but because your attention never stayed long enough to land. Eventually, you stop trusting your focus. You assume it's weak, unreliable, so you wait. You wait to feel ready. The task is open. The cursor blinks. You don't avoid the work. You just wait for the right feeling. Calm, clear, motivated. The feeling never comes, and the waiting slowly turns into pressure. I used to think this pause meant something was wrong, that I needed to fix my mindset first. What I didn't see was how much energy waiting itself was using. Waiting looks passive, but it's heavy. Because every minute you wait, you're aware of what you're not doing. That awareness sits quietly in the background, draining focus before it even begins. By the afternoon, your body starts to speak up. You skipped a meal. You've been sitting for hours. Your energy dips. Focus asks for fuel and gets willpower instead. It works, briefly. Then everything feels slower. Your eyes move, but your mind doesn't follow. This is where many people blame themselves. They think focus is the problem. but the body has been carrying the day alone, and by evening, there's very little left to give. You don't quit, you just move more slowly. By the time night arrives, the room is quieter. The work is still there. The list hasn't disappeared, but your energy is thin. This is usually where the day really ends, not with distraction, but with how you speak to yourself. You replay the day in small fragments, the moments you meant to focus, the time that slipped, and a familiar voice shows up. You should have done more. Why is this so hard for you? Other people manage this. This is a quiet habit, but it's powerful, because focus doesn't survive in hostile spaces. When your mind feels attacked, it doesn't concentrate. It protects. I didn't notice this at first. It felt normal, almost responsible, like holding myself accountable. What surprised me was how much focus disappeared after those thoughts showed up. Nothing dramatic changed. I still sat down. I still tried, but everything felt heavier. This is where the day folds in on itself. Morning distraction, afternoon fatigue, evening self-attack. Each part alone feels manageable. Together, they quietly pull focus apart. Here's the part most people miss. None of this means you lack discipline, or care, or potential. It means your focus has been carrying too much for too long. This is where something small begins to shift. Not a breakthrough, not a solution, just a softer way of holding the day. You stop treating focus like a test of character. You begin to see it as something fragile, something affected by time, by environment, by care. Nothing changes suddenly. The habits don't disappear, but something loosens. The pressure eases, just enough. And in that space, focus breathes again. Nothing is fixed at this point. The phone still exists. The days are still full. Your focus still comes and goes. But the season feels different. Some seasons aren't meant for sharp focus. They aren't built for constant clarity or clean momentum. They're meant for noticing what quietly pulls us away. Not to fight it, not to correct it immediately, just to see it. To notice how mornings set a tone, how afternoons drain more than expected, how evenings shape the way you speak to yourself. That noticing matters more than it sounds, because rebuilding doesn't usually start with effort. It starts with awareness. And awareness is gentle. You don't need to pressure this season into productivity. You don't need to turn it into a lesson. You just need to carry it differently. With a little more patience, a little less self-suspicion. Focus isn't something you force back into place. It returns when the environment allows it. Slowly, quietly. And maybe that's enough for now. If this felt familiar, you're not alone in it. If it helped put words to something you've been carrying, that matters. You can support this space by liking the video. It helps more than you might think. Subscribe if you want more calm, reflective stories about growth that takes time. And if someone you know has been feeling stuck lately, share this with them. Sometimes recognition is the first step forward.